Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Atlanta for round 2 of the 131 Rock ANZCAR Thunder series. And as always, joining us here, Danny G tonight. How are you?
Yes, I'm very good, thank you. It's going to be a cracking race.
Well, it should be a cracking race, shouldn't it? I mean, we've got another massive field here tonight. Absolutely huge field, absolutely capacity. The track literally cannot hold any more cars. And the one of the things about this track is it's been very, very slippery. We've won 3 races here now. This is actually the 3rd race that ANZCAR has run here, the first being the Cup, and then we have the Truck Series as well. And now we've got the Thunder running here. And the one word on everyone's lips is slippery. There's an absolute lack of grip out there for everyone. And as the track heats up, as the race goes on, that's going to really be a factor for these drivers, I think. And we've certainly seen throughout practice a few guys actually struggling with that.
Yeah, we are. I mean, that Cup race is like pretty hectic. Even at the back end of the straightaways, you're sort of just getting loose, going in a straight line. I'm not sure what these cars are like, but I'm sure they'd sort of balance between that and the Truck Series. But I guess tonight, I'd have my eye on Michael Scurlock. He won the Cup race and the Truck race, so I think he's out to get the three-peat here. And yeah, he'll be the driver that I'll be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly is going to be one to keep an eye on, isn't he? I mean, as you said, he's won 2 already, and that's something that we talked about with Josh Mickelmore at Daytona. We saw him win the Daytona 500 in some style, and then we saw him win the truck race there as well, but wasn't able to convert it for this race, the Thunder race. So that's something that Scurlock has definitely. He's very confident at this track. He's very fast here, so that's something that he's going to be able to really focus on and get that victory. But there are a few drivers as well that are actually really looking for a result. A few guys that you would expect to have had probably better results, and they really need a result here tonight. And I'm talking about guys like sort of looking at perhaps Chris Purnell, for example. He's had a bit of a quiet start. He nearly won the Thunder race, the Cup race, here earlier on last week, but spun out with a couple of laps to go, if you do recall that. He'll be looking for a good result here tonight. He's had a bit of a quiet season, as short as this season has been so far. Gavin Sadler, he's had a bit of bad luck getting caught up in other people's incidents. He's going to be looking for a solid run tonight. And strange as it may sound, Jason Martin's also going to be another one who's going to be looking for a solid result tonight. He's had a couple of ordinary finishes in the series in which he runs, of course, in the Cup and the Trucks and the Thunder as well. So he's going to be looking for a solid finish as well after a couple of bad results. So there's plenty for us to be keeping an eye on tonight, I think.
Yeah, there definitely is. The whole thing's going to be pretty much an eye-opener. There's a lot of talented drivers out here too, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of this go green, hopefully, pretty much like the Cup race. And the Truck race is actually not too bad either.
Yeah, that's one of the things as well, because this series, of course, for anybody who isn't necessarily familiar with ANZCAR competition, is that this series is the feeder series into the big leagues, into the Cup. And depending on your finishes here, if you perform well in this series, then you will be able to make that move up. You get promoted. You'll be able to move into a Cup ride. And we've already seen drivers the likes of Ricky Cornwall and Jason Williams last season move up into those Cup rides. That's what a lot of the guys here are actually aiming for. Of course, there are a lot of Cup drivers here as well that are just out for a good hit out. They just enjoy racing. They want to come out tonight as well. But the majority of the field is actually drivers who are aiming for that Cup slot. So that's another thing to keep an eye on tonight, how well they go, because if they put in a solid season, they've got every chance of moving up to the Cup Series.
Yeah, they certainly do.
So just as we move into qualifying here, we may just have a look at the championship points as well. And, of course, we've only had 1 round so far, so the point standings fairly well look as though as the finishing order from the first round, and give or take a couple of bonus points. We've actually got a few people sitting there on level points as well at the moment because of the way the bonus points come into play. So we've actually got Matty Raymond. He's leading the championship on 47 points after his brilliant win at Daytona. And then we've got Braden Bullis behind him on 42 points, so 5 points behind. And equal on 42 points, Jackson Callow, who's actually not in the field tonight. Then moving back to 4th place, we've got Ryan Jones. And then on equal 5th position, we've got Jason Martin and Stephen Williams. Then equal 7th position, we've got Matt Danson and Michael Scurlock. And then we've got Dave Douglas in 9th and Dwayne Priest rounding out that top 10.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid looking top 10. I mean, all those guys, they pretty much run all the races that they can with ANZCAR, and they're pretty much all the guys you see in the top 10 too. So it's going to be, Daytona obviously threw up some wild cards with some bad results, but pretty much the top 10 looks like it, it could have been anywhere. So yeah, the season's going to be pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, I think so. And looking at that top 10 as well, you've obviously got Matthew Raymond there and Ryan Jones as well. And those guys aren't Cup drivers as yet. So they'll definitely be looking to stay solid throughout the rest of the series. Keep that top 10 position if they can. A top 15 average is going to be enough to get them through to the Cup Series. So that's something that they're going to be focusing on as well. So keep an eye on them tonight. But while we're talking about the points, we have actually had qualifying start off. So we might just have a quick look through and see who we can find out there on the circuit at the moment. A few drivers having run their qualifying laps already. Jason Martin sitting as ever on the top of the tree at the minute. Josh Mickelmore behind him, and Matty Kloot with an excellent lap to get him there in P3. But just having a look out on the track to see who's out on a qualifying lap at the moment. I'm actually looking at Bruce Barnes in the number 88 Chevy Camaro, and he's actually just finished his first lap, and that's only put him for 15, so he's got to be looking to improve on this second lap around.
Yeah, it's going to be hard at this track though. These tyres heat up and your car just slides. It pretty much, I think your first lap's pretty much your speed lap. I don't know if he's given up here. He's just come down the track a little bit. But yeah, I mean, just slipping and sliding by the time the second lap comes around.
Yeah, certainly is. It's going to be one of those where the tyres really do go off quite quickly. Of course, around here, I remember in the Cup race we were seeing cars with tyres going off after 10 laps. They were almost to the point where they weren't able to give through full throttle even through the tri-oval, and then as the laps went on, they weren't even able to get the full throttle on the straights a lot of the time. So, I mean, these cars obviously have a bit less power than the Cup cars, but I expect to see a similar sort of scenario here for these guys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I haven't run tonight, but it's pretty sunny out there and pretty hot too, I think it is. So yeah, I mean, these cars are going to be slipping around, and I'd say if they get some long green flag runs in, they'll definitely be feeling that sort of effect at the end of the straights.
All right, so I'm actually watching Michael Scurlock here in the number 350. He's just coming around to finish his first lap. And this, as we've seen from the drivers so far, is going to be the fast lap. So I'm just having a look at what time he's been able to put in. And he's actually gone straight up there onto the front row, position 2. So that's a great lap from Michael Scurlock. And he's showing every intention of being able to get that three-peat, that 3 out of 3 at Atlanta. He loves this place. He said earlier on in the week he never used to love this place, but he absolutely loves it now just because of the success that he's had here. And as we just see him coming around for his second lap, we'll see if he's going to be able to improve. He's kept with it. He's kept his foot in. So we'll see if he's able to improve on his front row time and knock Jason Martin off. Doesn't look like he's been able to do that. It's very, very close. He's about a 10th away. So he is sitting pretty there on the outside of row 1.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been in the top 5 pretty much through everything, through trucks, Cup practice. I mean, I don't know about practices, but at least qualifying. He's always been up there in the top 5, so I expect a strong run out of him tonight.
Yeah, certainly. So having a look at some of the other drivers that we've got out there on the track at the moment, we've got Braden Bullis, who's actually just leading the pits at the moment in the 01 Camaro. And he's been one of those drivers. He's been kind of in and out ANZCAR, out of ANZCAR. He's been around a little bit of a while, and I'm fairly sure I'm right in saying that he's the only driver in the field at the moment who's actually got a pro license. And for those who don't know, that's the license that you earn in iRacing when you are very, very quick and win a lot of stuff. I'm not sure what the exact criteria is, but he's got it. He's the only one in the field who's actually got it, as I say, as far as I'm aware. And he's normally very, very quick, as you'd expect, right up at the top of the standings. So it'll be interesting to see what he's able to get on this first lap.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, he's also another one of those drivers. He's just always up there at all the end of these races. I mean, he did really well in that truck season once. I think he ran 10 races and he won 9 of them. He won the 1 race of the Thunder Series he did once. So he's very quick. It'll be hard to beat.
Yeah, and I still remember his debut in ANZCAR in the truck race, taking the win on the final lap. It looks like he's actually slowing down. I was fairly sure I saw him on the back straight actually nick the wall. And I think he's fairly keen not to complete that first lap, so he gets to go out and have potentially another go. But he's actually stopped there right on the start-finish straight, so I think that lap was probably invalidated. So it's probably best just to leave Braden for the moment and see if we can find somebody else there out the track. But I have found somebody. We've got Matt Danson out there on his outlap at the moment in the 30 machine. And he's coming around to start his first lap, which, as we've seen, most likely is the fast lap. So we'll see what Matt Danson's able to put together.
Yeah, and just during all that, Dwayne Priest has ended up knocking Jason Martin off pole, and Chris Purnell's in second place. But yeah, we'll just catch Danson here just coming onto the backstretch. We'll see what he can do. So it looks like sort of maybe the speeds have picked up sort of the later stages of qualifying.
Well, shouts out to Dwayne Priest, because that's an extraordinary lap. Extraordinary lap. He's beaten Jason Martin by just under a tenth, putting himself on provisional pole at the moment. We will see what Matt Danson's able to do. It looks as though Matt Danson's doing the exact same thing as Braden Ballers, and is pulling up on the start-finish straight, and I really don't know what that's about, because I didn't see him actually touch the wall. I'm not sure why he's done that.
No, and then Braden's still sitting there too.
Okay, never mind. So we've got a very interesting grid starting up. I'm just looking at Ben Dalty at the moment in the 313. He's just on his way out of the pits as well. So he will be looking to wind up as best as he can to get a nice fast lap in here. And it all counts as well. You see them coming out of the pit lane. They're not just touring out of the pit lane. It's all the wind up to get the most momentum as they possibly can across the start-finish line to start that all-important qualifying lap. You see him staying nice and high, sort of mid-track, dropping low on the exit, just trying to get the maximum possible terminal velocity as he crosses the start-finish line to start that lap.
Yeah, he does, and he's not a bad driver either. He's always up pretty much up in the top 10 too. So we'll see what he can do at the end of qualifying here. He's tucking down pretty low, pretty low there, coming out of turn 2 and down onto the backstretch.
Well, let's not forget, of course, that Ben Dalty ran Michael Scurlock right down to the final round for that truck championship at the end of last year. So he's definitely got a bit of pedigree. He hasn't got a championship to his name, but he's got a bit of pedigree in the ANZCAR championships already. And as he crosses the line this first time round, he's actually gone position 2. Ooh. So I would definitely say, looking at the way these times are falling, that the track is definitely better right now than it was at the beginning of the session, certainly. And Ben Doherty, he hasn't even bothered with a second lap. He's sitting there on P2, and he's happy with that.
He is. That's a great job.
All right, so I'm just having a bit of a look through to see Ashton Crowder in the 77. He's done exactly the same thing as Danson and Bullis, so I'm not really sure what that tactic is. Obviously, they don't want to set qualifying times, but I'm not really sure why they've even bothered to leave the pits if that's the case. But we've got 35 drivers who have set qualifying times at the moment, and those who haven't set times, Michael Latta, Braden Bullis, Ashton Crowder, Matt Danson, Brian Richmond, Matthew Raymond, and Darren McKenzie. And there's actually nobody on track at the moment as we move into the last minute of qualifying. So I would expect that the grid as we see it is going to be the grid for the start of the race. And I think that now would probably be a good time to run through it as the seconds tick down for qualifying. So Dwayne Priest on pole. And I think I'm right in saying that is his first pole in ANZCAR competition. So an excellent lap there from Dwayne. Then we've got Ben Darty there, as we mentioned, outside row 1. Then row 2, Chris Purnell and Jason Martin, two of the drivers we highlighted at the top of the show. Just guys who really need a good result tonight. They're starting in an excellent place to actually make that happen. Row 3, Michael Scurlock, three-peat man, going for it tonight. Ryan Jones joining him on row 3. And then we've got Gavin Sadler and Josh Mickelmore. That is a quality row 4 there between the two of those guys. Ricky Cornwall and Dave Douglas, on row 5. I shouldn't get that wrong. He's my teammate. Mirko Doutnak, Riley Curtis there, 11th and 12th. So that is row 6. Row 7, Dominic Ferraris, the rookie. It's actually his first ANZCAR race ever here tonight, Dominic Ferraris. Sitting there on the 7th row next to Matty Cluett. He's in good company right there. Then we've got Nicholas Walsh and Matthew Lawson there on row 8, row 9, Phil Otto, Stephen Williams. George Fullerton and Bradley Cheney round out row 10. Then we've got Daryl Hockey and Daniel Stevens. A bit further back than we'd expect to see Daniel on row 11. Then we're looking at Matt Hunter and James Robbie on row 12. Row 13, Norman Clark and Robert Mason. Still going, guys. There's a lot of drivers here tonight. Joseph Tavora, Todd Maxfield there. And then we've got Brogan Pickett Norris, Bruce Barnes, Will Barrington. He's starting a long way down as well. Ryan Bull, Tristan Koch, and then Aaron Dillon, Raymond Yeager, and Braden Bullis, Ashton Crowder, Matt Danson, Darren McKenzie. A lot of quality back there in the field. Brian Richmond and Michael Latta rounding out our 42 starters tonight.
Yeah, this is a massive field.
Certainly is. So as they're gridding up, they're going to got Dwayne Priest starting on the pole. So it's going to be interesting to see how he actually handles this, because I don't believe that he has actually started on pole in an ANZCAR race before. So let's see how he handles it. Does he go early? Does he kind of wait until the green? How does he actually handle that start? How does he manage it? Because he's got those two really fast drivers. In fact, he's got fast drivers all around him, doesn't he? But he can also take that confidence knowing that he went faster than anybody in qualifying, and that over the first couple of laps at least, he should be able to deal with whatever they throw at him.
Yeah, you'd think so. I think it'll take probably that 5 to 10 lap sort of run to see if anyone else can sort of catch him off the start. I mean, I'm not even actually too sure of the rules on the start. I don't know if you have to wait till the actual green flag comes out. I mean, most people do, but we'll see what he does.
No, you certainly don't have to wait until the green flag comes out. It's all entirely leader's call throughout ANZCAR. So you can start, whether it's a start or a restart or something like that, it's entirely leader's call. After that pace car pulls off, it is under the control of the leader, and it's up to them when they start it off. So Dwayne Priest, I'm not sure if he knows that either. We'd expect that he probably does, but he's definitely got to be looking to get away first and actually take that bonus point for leading a lap as well, because they all add up at the end of the season.
Yeah, they do. They'll definitely make a difference. And another guy I want to keep an eye out tonight, I think he's starting 11th, Mirko Dortnack. Yeah, he's been pretty much active all season this year too, and he's been pretty good in everything he runs.
Well, he's actually joined Illusion in the off-season, and it's kind of coincided with a good spike in performance from him. I was watching him a little bit of time during practice, and he seemed to be struggling a little bit as the tyres sort of went down. He seemed to be struggling more than most. He was running around with his teammates and did get quite a lot of snap oversteer coming out of this turn that they're in at the moment, turn 2. So let's keep an eye on him after 10 laps or so and see what he's able to do as far as tyre wear is concerned, because that's something that every driver is going to be managing tonight, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the trucks are a little bit slower than these guys, and yeah, after about 10-15 laps in the truck, they pretty much sort of lost a lot of grip. I think these guys will be probably that 7 to 10 lap mark.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect them to get too much more than that, would you, out of those tyres? So they're definitely going to be able to push them. I know in the Cup race, I think the longest stint was Dave Douglas doing about a 66-lap stint in that. But that being said, it's far from comfortable. You are definitely uncomfortable after those 10 laps are up. So we'll see what Dwayne does here. They've gone green. We've hit the green flag. And it looks as though Ben Doherty's actually got the best of the start there on the outside, and they actually slot down into the lead. Does he do it? Does he slot down in front of Dwayne Priest? He does, and it looks as though he's going to lead that first lap. Dwayne Priest in second, and just about every single position behind is up for dispute.
Yeah, definitely is. I don't know if Doherty's going to cop a penalty for that, because he crossed the line in front of the leader. I'm not sure what the actual iRacing rules are. I don't think you're meant to, but anyway, Dwayne Priest holds his position in second. You've got Jason Martin. He's battling Chris Purnell side-by-side, double wide, coming through the tri-oval.
Yeah, it's a big pack back there, isn't it? They're not going to want to do that once the tyres start to wear off. I think Doherty should be fine, because I think that the rule is that you just need to be behind when the green flag falls, and he was definitely behind when the green flag fell. He did definitely cross the line, but he's got a piece of the wall, and Dwayne Priest going for the lead now, and Dwayne Priest has slotted into the lead. It looks as though he may get that point for leading that lap after all.
Yeah, he's going to get it this time round. Chris Purnell looks like Scurlock's going to follow in suit. Jason Martin's just got under Doherty now, and he does look like he's carrying a fair amount of damage there.
And we've got Ryan Jones and Gavin Sadler right in there behind him. So they're going three wide with Doherty at the moment. So that's really hurt him, hasn't it? That's really hurt the momentum that Doherty was carrying. He was in the lead this time last lap, only around about a mile and a half ago. And now he's finding himself sort of slipping down to the 5th, 6th position. It's not going to be impressing him at all. We'll see what kind of pace he's able to run, because there's got to be some damage on that Mustang. Yeah,
there definitely is. I'm just taking a close look at it now, and there's a fair crinkle there above the wheel, sort of the wheel arch.
All right, so Dwayne Priest, all his Christmas is coming at once at the moment, leading in this Thunder race. Just keeping a nice easy line there, taking care of his tyres. He's not running down too low. He's running a little bit of a wider arc. But we're seeing that a lot of the drivers have actually fallen into a bit of a single file pattern now. There's still a little bit of dispute going on around about the back end of the top 10. But as far as I can tell, just about the entire field just setting into that rhythm now. And that's actually a good thing to see, especially as this is such a long race. We're only on lap 5 of 100.
Yeah, we are. Jason Martin, he's not wasting any time just driving past Scurlock there into third. But yeah, Dwayne Priest just seems to be in about the middle of the track, probably just saving his tyres a little bit.
Yeah, he seems to be. Seems to be approaching it quite smart, and that's one of the things as well in stock car racing, because your tyres are so sensitive. You'll find that a driver who has to fight his way up through the pack, even if he's got great speed, is going to use his tyres at a faster rate, running all those different lines. But somebody who's just coasting away out the front or on his own, just able to pick his own lines and save his tyres. So I think that Dwayne's leading quite well at the moment. He's looking quite calm, although I think Chris Purnell's starting to just apply that blowtorch to his rear bumper a little bit, but I don't think Purnell's going to be too rash yet.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's early days. You're probably guaranteed a couple of cautions, if not, 3, 4, like we saw in the other races. They all seem to be pretty much single file around the racetrack, but they're all racing clean and smart right now. See how long that lasts. But yeah, Chris Purnell definitely, he's pretty much come through the triangle now. He's looking for moves. Looks like Jason might want to get up there and join them though.
Yeah, you can see Purnell just sort of searching all over the track, can't he, as he just makes a bit of a dive underneath Priest. Priest has run a bit wide in that turn 1 and 2 and just seemed to have to almost check up a little bit to keep himself out of that turn 2 wall. So he might be starting to get a bit of push on those tyres already. And as you can see, Chris Purnell straight through to the lead of the race there. And now Dwayne Priest has got Jason Martin for company as well. He's got Scurlock behind, Sadler behind. So all these guys are going to be working away on the back of him. And it'll remains to be seen how hard Priest is going to fight. Doesn't look like he's going to be fighting too hard. He's certainly still sticking with that favoured midline, and Jason Martin, I think, is just going to try his best to move by and then have a look at Purnell potentially.
Yeah, I just saw, sorry Joey, but I just saw Doherty back into the wall on the backstretch again, so he's copped another piece of it, so he's going to be even more damaged. But here we are on lap sort of 8 to 9, so when I thought those tyres would start to show some sort of some wear on them or sliding around on the racetrack, it looks like it might be happening right now. Sorry, Dwayne Priest.
Yeah, it certainly does. And just having a look back at Ben Doherty, he's behind Ricky Cornwall now. He just crossed the line last time through in 10th position. So he's gone all the way from 2nd to 10th after leading that first lap. So realistically, he's actually gone back from 1st to 10th after that excellent start. And one of the drivers I'd like to give a bit of a shout out to, Dominic Ferraris. He's up there in P11 at the moment in that number 38. And he's running ahead of such drivers as Dave Douglas and Riley Curtis, who've been doing this for a long, long time. They're both cup drivers. So I think that Dominic, we'll see what he's able to do in terms of his tyre life, but there's certainly nothing wrong with his pace.
And there's not. I mean, they look like a conveyor belt from 10th on back, but then this thing's starting to heat up here. I think Brian Jones just copped the wall. Mick Moore's gone down low. I think they'll keep racing, but yeah, Brian Jones ended up clopping the wall there on the backstretch.
Yeah, big shame for him. He really got a big piece of that wall. He took more than his fair share of that wall, actually. And it looks as though that sort of came about just due to the fact he got a bit loose in the mid-turn and sort of overcorrected and got up into that outside fence, and that's cost him a lot of momentum there. And Josh Mickelmore having to go right to the apron to avoid him, but that's going to cost the 11 some pace, certainly. Especially after we saw the 11 being so successful in the Daytona 500, the real-life Daytona 500, of course. And now we've got our number 11 here in ANZCAR just biting that outside wall.
And the caution flag is out.
Okay, so caution flag is out. What is that out for? That is the next question, where unfortunately we don't get alerts to let us know what's actually brought that about. And I'm just having a look. I think the number 77 is spinning there, but I'm not sure if he was the one who brought the caution out. I think he was, actually. I think it was the 77, Ashton Crowder, and I think he's actually got up and touched with the 88. Yeah, he did. He touched with the 88 and he spun right down the back stretch.
Okay, unfortunately, yeah, my replay's not showing up any of those drivers.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, he actually got together with Bruce Barnes. So he got a bit loose, and maybe Bruce, yeah, it's a bit of 6 of one, half dozen of the other, really. But he got together with Bruce Barnes, has actually spun the entire length of the back straight, just about. And that's when you realise how much speed these cars are actually carrying, when you see how long they slide when they get it wrong. But expect every single driver to come to the pits this time round, and indeed they are.
Yeah, they've just made their way on the pit lane. Someone hit the cone. I'm just going back to have a look at this. I think Mirko has hit the cone on entry, so I'm not sure if that's a penalty or not.
Yeah, we'll find out, won't we? That's one of the things that unfortunately iRacing doesn't tell us. It doesn't tell us who's got the penalties and who doesn't. So unfortunately, we're just going to have to keep an eye on Mirko and see if he has to come in the pits again or drop to the rear or whatever. The iRacing system adjudges that he should serve, but in any event, it looks like as though Jason Martin's had another one of his trademark terrible pit stops. He's dropped a fair way down. I think he's dropped to around about 6th or 7th position in all of that. But Chris Purnell out there in front, and he's going to be grinning from ear to ear when he looks back in the mirrors and actually sees his teammate Michael Scurlock, the Mr. Atlanta at the moment, sitting there in P2, and that very brightly coloured UDTV, Ultimate Dirt TV Camry of Gavin Sadler.
Yeah, Gav seemed to sort of make some strides there. Another driver that did too was also Ben Doherty, and he obviously didn't fix any of his damage, so we'll see what sort of effect that has.
All right, so we're just going to have a look. We're going to wait until the drivers cross the line until the scoring actually updates, so we can tell you exactly the positions that these drivers are running in. Bruce Barnes seemed to have put his hand up over the radio and has just actually admitted that was his fault that Ashton Crowder got turned around. So they seem to be all mates again, and they're going to continue on with it. But Chris Purnell up the front, Michael Scurlock in second, Gavin Sadler third. As we mentioned, Ben Doherty up there, as you mentioned, Dan, up there in fourth position. Definitely didn't fix any of that damage there. He would have been in the pits a lot longer. And Jason Martin drops from second to fifth in that one, with Josh Mickelbob behind. And Riley Curtis has actually made a big stride up there. He's ahead of our pole sitter Dwayne Priest now up there in seventh place.
Yeah, he is, and I think, Mirko, so I'm just having a look at the standings, but Mirko's definitely copped the penalty because he's just fallen back all the way to 24th now. Continues to fall. Yeah,
big shame for Mirko. So you called that right, Danny. Spotted it like with your eagle eye, just that he managed to clip that cone there and get himself a bit of a penalty. Of course, you need to be inside that cone to make what they call a safe entry. So just while we are under caution here, we might just have a little bit of a look at some of our new drivers throughout the field. There are quite a few guys who are either in their first ANZCAR race or they're new to ANZCAR this season. I'm talking about guys that, like, for example, as we mentioned him before, Dominic Ferraris, he's up there in ninth position. So he is having a brilliant run in the number 38. And then right behind him, we've actually got Matthew Lawson in the number 9. He's sitting in the top 10 at the moment. Another great run from one of our new drivers. The number 3, Joseph Tavora, he's sitting there in third place, the new recruit for Illusion Motorsports. He's there in the 13th place. We'll be looking to move forward from there. And we've got a couple of other drivers up and down the field who are reasonably new with us. Ashton Crowder, I haven't seen out here before. We did see him spinning down the back straight earlier on. He's sitting there in 30th at the moment, so that certainly cost him a bunch of positions. And just looking a little bit further down, I think that in terms of our newer drivers, Ryan Bull's there. He's in last position, about 6 laps down at the moment. Not even sure that he's actually still... He is in the server and he is on track. So he's 6 laps down. So obviously something happened that we missed with him at the start. He's carrying a little bit of damage running around there at the back of the field. And being 6 laps down, he's got to be really only driving for points at the moment. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. I'm obviously not sure what happened at the start there, but if he keeps riding around, I mean, these guys will sort of wreck sooner or later, get some positions. Purnell sort of backing the field up here to the pace car. We're just about to go green.
Yeah, we certainly are. That caution's flown by, so we're side by side, the 2 Illusion cars leading each row. And, looks like Gavin Sadler put his foot down there, got a lot of wheel spin and just kicked sideways. And that's allowed it's made everyone else check up. It's now the 2 Illusion cars to have the first turn to themselves. They're got to be quite happy with that, got to be looking to build that gap as much as possible.
Yeah, that's a great start by them too. Yeah, I think he just got on the pedal a little bit too soon and went for it. I mean, even the truck sort of spun their tyres. He definitely couldn't floor it in the Cup car, so in between, you probably couldn't floor it in this either.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know how easy that is to do. I did exactly the same thing in the Cup race on the restart and managed to put Gavin Sadler's teammate, James Robin, into the wall, unfortunately. So I certainly know how easy that is to do. But Gavin Sadler, speaking of him, he looks as though he's just made a move on Ben Doherty to take that 3rd position. And I'll talk about Gavin Sadler for a minute because he's always been one of those drivers that has run fairly solidly in ANZCAR. He's been around for a little while now, sort of off and on. Had a fairly consistent run towards the end of last season and so on, and he's had some really good solid finishes. But I don't know what it is. This season he seemed to be just on another level again. He was very fast at Daytona. He's been right up the front in that leading pack every single time he's jumped into any one of his cars or trucks in any ANZCAR race going. And he's really starting to put the pressure on the back end of that lead pack, and very quick indeed. I know he's going to be looking for that solid finish tonight.
Yeah, and he's racing hard. I mean, they ended up closing that gap. It's sort of spread back out now between Scurlock and Saddler. About a lap ago, he was pretty much right on the rear end. I wasn't sure if the Illusion cars sort of took it a little bit easy because they sort of got that gap. But yeah, I think one of them actually scraped the wall heading into turn 3 too. I saw some sparks.
Yeah, I saw some sparks as well. I think that may have been Scurlock that just got a piece of that outside wall. Very hard to tell, of course. We've got a few guys, just as I look back in the pack, running that sort of high line there at the moment. And we did mention James Robbie earlier on as the poor unfortunate recipient of my mistake there at the Cup race. And he is in this race as well. Just having a look for him back there in the field. I know I saw his car. Unless it's another teammate of Gavin Sadler's there I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, I wasn't aware either. I'm just having a look at Ben Doherty. Sorry, he's just dropping back. Yeah, he's just got too much damage on that car. I think he's going to have to come and get that fixed next time. You got Ferrara as well over the back with him looking 7th. And oh, I think Jason Martin just copped the wall on the backstretch.
Oh, well, there you go. Jason Martin making a bit of a rub there against the wall. And he's got his teammate Josh Mickelmore right in there behind him as well. Teammate, team boss, in fact. So I think that if Jason has got a bit of a car issue after scraping the wall like that Mickelmore will be allowed past without too much further problems. But it looks as though he's regrouped and he's back on his way now.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his damage. He's touch of a crinkle, but nowhere near as bad as the other two that got the wall.
I'm actually looking at that right, that Jason Martin is in a Mustang and his teammate Josh Mickelmore is in a Camaro. Is that coming up right for him?
Yeah, that's what I've got on screen too.
Okay, so Jason Martin running a Mustang tonight. There you go. I thought you guys all ran Chevys.
Yeah, so do I.
Oh, well, anyway, so Purnell still leads from his teammate Michael Scurlock. It just seems to be settling down at the front. I think that's going to be something that all those guys are going to welcome. Seems to very much be a single groove racetrack at the moment. We're not seeing too many drivers running side by side. We're seeing Darren McKenzie back there. He's having a little bit of a battle with one of the Illusion cars. I believe that's Daniel Stevens there in the 66. And he's got Matt Danson behind him. If you remember, Matt Danson didn't qualify. Stayed right at the back of the field, and he's moved up from right at the back, so he would have been sort of the late 30s, and he's moved up to 15th position, so he's sort of working his way through as well.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's got a nice clean race car. Hasn't touched anybody or the wall by the looks of it, and he's moving through the field. I think he likes coming from the back and just passing cars. And
the second fluorescent Ultimate Dirt TV Camry that I saw there, I thought it was James Robbie. It's not James Robbie. It's actually George Fullerton, the number 36, who's sitting in there right behind Matt Danson at the moment in the 16th position and doing a very solid job there just ahead of Bradley Cheney. So I wasn't actually aware that George was part of that team, but he certainly is. He's running quite solidly there in the top half of the field. So good job for him so far, early days.
Yeah, it is. What's that, 4 cars now?
I'm just thinking, what is it? Gavin Sadler, James Robbie, George Fullerton?
3.
Yeah, 3 cars for them. So, just having a look at the drivers as well who have unfortunately dropped off the lead lap. We've got Matty Clute there. He is down in 37th position. He is the first car 1 lap down. So, if the caution was to fly now, he would get the lucky dog, provided he wasn't involved in the incident. 1 lap down. And then we've also got Ricky Cornwall, who is 2 laps down. Then we're looking at Todd Maxfield and Ryan Bull, who are 5 and 6 laps down already. So the night not going according to plan for those guys.
No, it's not. I just saw Riley Curtis sort of scrape the wall on the backstretch, but I don't think it was any damage. He just sort of scraped it, a bit of sparks.
Okay, so we've actually got a really good battle going on at the moment between, I think we've got Lawson, Ferraris, and I think we've got Ben Doherty just in front of them as well, just as Lawson gets a little bit taily coming out of turn 2, just going on the back straight. But it looks as though Lawson at the moment has got a bit more speed than the 2 cars in front of him, so it'll be interesting to see if he's actually able to make a move, make use of that extra speed that he's got, or whether he's going to use up his tyres trying to get by and then end up falling back. But he's certainly all over the back of that number 38 at the moment.
Yellow flag.
Okay, yep, as mentioned, under caution. So we're Let's just go back and have a little quick look to see if we can see who the unfortunate soul was involved in that. And see a few cars sort of coming out of the pits, I think.
Maybe something with the 57.
I think Michael Latta, yeah, the 57 might have been involved in that. He's driving around on his own. I'm just watching a little bit of a replay for him. He's sort of just, he hasn't got anyone near him, but I think he may have just made a mistake coming out of turn 2 and just wound up doing a little bit of a pirouette down the back straight, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He sort of took a bit of a road course there to get into the pits. That's as far as I've got to him now. If it was him, for some reason, again, these drivers not showing up on the replay.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you need, Michael Latta just apologising to the rest of the field. So I think we can assume that that was a single car accident for Michael Latta. So one of those things to make sure that you've got all the cars displayed so we're able to see the little bits and pieces that happen sort of down the field when you're not focusing on that end of the grid necessarily. But Michael Latta, single car incident there, and everyone else coming down the pits. Purnell leading that train down the pit lane. Michael Scurlock in second. Jason Martin's moved up to third past Gavin Sadler, and then Josh Mickelmore. And they're all going to roll into pit lane together. So let's see how they go this time round, see if there's any big jumbles up in the position like we saw last time.
Yeah, they're just coming down pit lane now. I was just having a look. Might have been something to do with Todd Maxfield too. He's actually sitting on pit lane with a bit of damage. I don't know if you can see that on the replay. Yeah,
I'm not sure with Maxfield. I know he was already a good few laps down. I think it was about 5 laps down already. So he's definitely been in the wars tonight in any event. Just watching those 2 Illusion cars got fantastic pit stops. Jason Martin looks like he's got a good one as well. So I think as far as the top 5 are concerned, everything's fairly well status quo. And I think Riley Curtis has actually jumped Josh Mickelmore and has taken that 5th position.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty interesting restart now. Jason Martin on the inside. You know, he's got a quick car and he sort of wants to get up there and race and win. So he's going to be pretty decent starting second on the inside race if he can get a good jump. And behind him, Gavin Sadler. We know he's been pretty much up there in the top 5 that last run. Then Riley Curtis. Ben Doherty obviously didn't try and fix any of his damage, but he's maintained up there in the top 10 too without doing that. So if the cautions sort of fall the right way for him, it might end up being okay.
All right, so what we might do just while we're rolling around under caution is we might grab a word with Dave Douglas. We've actually got him on the radio tonight waiting for us to jump in and have a bit of a chat with him. He's running in P16 at the moment, so we'll just have bring him in for a quick chat. Dave Douglas, Edward Foster in the Performance E streaming comm box. You got a call?
Hey guys, certainly do.
All right, so how's the race playing out from your point of view?
It started out alright, falling off the 5th row, but unfortunately I got a penalty entering pit lane under the last caution. I must have hit the cone, so that dropped us back to the rear. So we just got to work our way back.
Okay, you certainly weren't the only one to do that. Mirko Doutnak had the exact same problem, actually hit that cone and had to drop to the rear. So you're running around there in 16th place at the moment, I believe. What is your plan for the remainder of the race? Obviously looking to move forward, but how do you plan to achieve?
Yeah, it's going to be hard from here. I got to work the high side, I think, just get past some of these slower cars and try and look after the tyres best I can and just sort of drive through them, I guess.
Yep, certainly one of those plans. Well, I mean, if it's any consolation to you, we've had a few guys actually starting near the rear who've managed to come through to fairly good positions. I think Matt Danson, Braden Bullers, drivers like that, all started down the back. Matt Danson's up to 14th at the moment after starting 38th. So there certainly is room for overtaking out there. You've just got to get the old bit between your teeth and get after it.
Yeah, that's good to hear. We'll definitely give it a shot, mate.
All right, no problems at all. So that was Dave Douglas there. He's running around at the moment, having got that penalty, but we'll be able to see what he's able to accomplish for the remainder of the race. Certainly going to be looking to move forward, but I think that's the case with all these drivers except for Chris Burnell, who's going to be quite happy to stay exactly where he is.
Yeah, he will be. I mean, he's doing very well there with Michael Scurlock behind him. Got to see if it can last. We're on the sort of last lap here before the green flag. What's it going that? So that was a 13 lap run. The run before was 11. So it looks like they sort of just get into a little bit of trouble there, and just after 10 laps when the sort of tyres have started to wear off. But I expect these guys to sort of put all that in mind and he'll get some green flag runs here.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, the laps haven't been that bad either. The cautions have just been, tyre issues, getting loose, and so on and so forth. So we got Purnell. It'll be interesting to see if he puts out any team orders between himself and Scurlock. I don't think Scurlock would be necessarily willing to listen to that. I think there may be some radio problems immediately upon that order coming through. I think it's probably too early for that anyway. They've got Jason Martin to worry about, Gavin Sadler back there. Also Riley Curtis and Doherty, who's still managing to hang on there despite that damage.
Yeah, he is. He seems to sort of fall back a little bit, but he sort of maintains around top 10 speed at least. Because they've just gone green now, and Purnell and Scurlock out to a pretty decent. They all got a single file behind them. They're sort of racing back there for fifth. Doherty, I think, I was on the outside. We'll just see what he can do. I don't know. He just seems a little bit too tight with that damage. He'll lose a few positions.
Yeah, it definitely seems to affect the front end on that car, doesn't it? He seems to be pushing up the track, seems to be a lot more comfortable on the higher line. And as we can see from the line these drivers are running around here, that's actually not the preferred line. And just having a look back at the front of this, so Jason Martin's looking to attack Michael Scurlock. I think that Scurlock's very much thinking that this is my backyard here, mate. I've won the 2 races here so far, not you. And he's going to be wanting to make sure that he fights back and keeps that place.
Yeah, he will at least get in front of Sadler, which he looks like he has done. I think Jace will get him between turn 3 and 4 here. You got someone down on the apron further on back. We'll just keep to the front. And Scurlock still hung on the outside. See if Sadler can get underneath him. Hang on to the tri-oval. I think there's too much of a gap though. Yeah,
I don't think Sadler's going to be able to put an immediate threat to Scurlock. Scurlock's still close enough to kind of force the issue a little bit with Martin. Martin's sort of definitely taken that position now, moved up in front of Scurlock. But if Scurlock's able to get a run, he may be able to take that position back. And that was something that he's been very good at during the Cup race and the truck race here, is getting those runs and getting those moves done. And Jason Martin now putting a lot of pressure on Chris Purnell. And Purnell's one of those drivers, as we said at the top of the show, Purnell, Martin and Sadler are all looking for solid runs. They're all getting it at the moment, so how much are they going to want to risk?
Yeah, it was still pretty early. We're just over a quarter way through, like 35 of 100. So yeah, I'm not too sure. Maybe a bit too early at the moment. Who I'm looking at the moment is Matt Danson. He's in 11th. So I want to see how quick he sort of comes through the field. You got someone into the wall there.
Yeah, he's certainly making his way up, isn't he? I did see someone clip the wall. But knowing Chris Purnell as I do, and I know him fairly well, I think that he's going to put up a big fight against Jason Martin. He is not going to make this easy at all. He's going to hang on to that lead for as long as he possibly can. Martin looks to have very good pace, but I think that Purnell just is not going to want to let that go. And you can see Jason Martin at the moment just playing with the lines as he comes into the corner to try and maximise that run off the turn that he gets to try and actually dupe Purnell down the straight.
Yeah, and I mean, the more Purnell sort of fights too, you got Scurlock right up the back of them too, so that's going to help his cause too. So if you get Scurlock racing Jason Martin, he might not be able to make that pass for the lead. But actually, between first and second, actually could be a good positioning.
Yeah, I mean, you really get the feeling that the winner of this race, barring any calamity, is going to come from one of this top 4. They've sort of been, they sort of put themselves in a position that they are a little bit above the rest of the drivers in the races. Jason Martin goes for a move on Purnell. Let's see what Purnell does. Purnell runs sort of middle, just trying to keep his momentum up around the outside. He's actually been a little bit more generous to Jason there than I thought he might have been. But certainly just trying to keep that momentum down the front stretch. We'll see what happens in turn 1 and
2. Yeah, Purnell with the advantage at the moment. Jason Martin goes down low again. It's alongside Purnell. I just don't think he's going to get the drive off the corner.
Yeah, and Purnell, I was just going to say that's going to start to melt off Jason's tyres if he has to stick down there, but it was Purnell who got a bit sideways. But certainly fighting up for all his worth there around the outside. He's being a little bit more generous in terms of space than I'd expect him to be, but he is still holding the lead of the race at the moment. And, he's got into the wall as I say that. He's actually run up into the wall, and that will have killed his momentum, and Jason Martin going to take over the lead from Chris Purnell. He'll be absolutely filthy with himself for that.
Yeah, he really is right at the back of Jason. There are only inches between them. But yeah, I don't think it doesn't look like it's got any damage to Purnell's race car.
There's a very, very slight amount as far as I can see. A little bit of a crinkle, but nothing too major. Certainly not anything like the whack that Doherty gave the wall earlier on, for example. So let's hope that doesn't cost him too much pace. He's able to come back, and we've got a nice battle for the lead here. He certainly does look, he's trying to home in on the back of Jason Martin there. And of course, there's Scurlock, and he's doing exactly what he did actually in the Cup race and the truck race. And that's just kind of sit there and watch. He's just kind of sitting there, keeping pace and watching. And of course, he's got Gavin Sadler right behind him. And we've got Riley Curtis there and Josh Mickelmore side by side as well, battling for that P5.
Yeah, he is just sort of lurking back there. I actually like what he did when these two were racing in front. He just went up to the middle line, pretty much sat behind Chris Burnell. He's just like, oh, well, I'm just going to let you two race and I'll just save my tyres.
Yeah, he's actually showing a little bit of that cunning that won him that truck series, isn't he? And if I'm right in saying, I think he's actually won a couple of truck series now, but he's doing an awesome job there in third position. And certainly Mr. Atlanta, we're not going to count him out just yet at all.
No, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's won pretty much every one of our ANZCAR divisions that we've sort of put in now between Cup trucks, Thunder, K&Ns. So yeah, he's definitely well accomplished and he knows what he's doing, and he's one of those drivers that's just up there now in the top 5, top 10.
Yeah, he's one of those ones who's sort of come along to the point that every time there's a race, you'd expect him to be around about the top 5 or there or thereabouts. So he's doing a great job. And Gavin Sadler, of course, sitting there as well. And just that second pack that's forming there. Oh, Riley Curtis just got a piece of the wall. And I reckon Josh Mickelmore might have touched him there right before he's hit the wall. I'm just going to go back and have a bit more of a look at that, but I reckon there was contact.
It looked like Riley did get shoved up there. Just have a look.
No, he didn't. He did it all himself. I thought there'd been a bit of a touch in the back, but there certainly hadn't. And it looks as though Curtis now carrying a little bit of that front fender damage. But as we've seen with Doherty, it hasn't really hurt the pace too much. If it has given a little bit of push. And just looking at some of those guys that started a bit towards the back, Ashton Crowder, remember we saw him spinning down the back straight earlier on? He's up to P6.
Yeah, and he had a very good practice time, so I expect him to do work well. Looks like he's coming racing out of California. I think Chris Burnell's just caught Jason Martin. Jason got really loose coming off turn 2. So pretty much as soon as that sun came back out, I mean, the cloud broke and the sun came out and he just got loose.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, isn't it, with this new, the new changing weather and everything that you get in iRacing, especially on oval racing. And I don't think the guys who race road normally stick to road courses would appreciate. Of course, it does change the grip on road courses, but it has a profound effect on an oval. Just a bit of cloud coming over, a couple of degrees change in temperature, and it really does change the way that the cars handle and drive and the lines that you're able to hold and what line's going to be the best. It changes a lot. An oval track is a living, evolving thing as the race goes on, and that's one of the things that people who love it, that's one of the things they love about it.
Martin just got the wall there, and I think Ashton Crowder in 4th place. I mean, he's coming pretty hard. He's just under Scurlock now, but he did catch the wall coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, I think Scurlock got a bit loose through turn 1 and 2 as well, so that's actually helped Ashton get up right up onto the back of him as we look at him. We're going to make a move now on the inside of Scurlock. Don't expect Scurlock to give it up too easy, but having said that, it looks like he's just conceded and slotted in behind Ashton and is going to try and follow him up to the back of the leading pair. Yeah,
and the one person I was actually looking at the start of that run is Matt Danson, but he hasn't really moved his way up past 10th. He still looks clean. He's got Trevor all over the back of him, but he hasn't moved up like I thought he would.
And but we got caution on track. Caution. We are under caution. And I think that may have been something to do with perhaps the 88. I can see the 88 is on pit road. Perhaps it wasn't him that brought the caution out, but certainly there's been an incident somewhere.
Yeah, there has. I'm just trying to go back and have a look. I just can't see anything yet. For some reason, I'm just not seeing any of these cautions.
So I'm just having a quick look back in the pack, and it was the number 35. It was the number 35, and just going to have a quick double check to make sure that I'm not talking absolute rubbish, but I'm 90% sure it was, I saw
he's at least spun.
Nicholas Walsh and Raymond Yeager. So it looks as though Nick Walsh has just come out of turn 2. He's run up the track, just tagged Yeager, and has gone right across his nose into the fence. So unfortunate for those guys, definitely.
Yeah, it is. I caught the end of that when Nick Walsh was sort of sitting on the backstretch, but yeah, I didn't catch the start of that. I'm not sure what's happening.
Okay, so we're just coming down pit road. The leaders are pitting now. Martin's overshot his pit box, so I think there's going to be another rubbish stop for Jason Martin now. I think we're going to see Chris Burnell, possibly Scurlock as well, get out ahead of the 21. But let's see what they're able to actually make the pit stop. Purnell away first. Crowder second, and then the 21 Jason Martin coming out of the pits third, followed by Scurlock, Josh Mickelmore, and the 313 of Ben Doherty. And Riley Curtis with that damage is still stuck on pit road. He entered the pits in 7th position, but he's copping some repairs, and he's going to come out way down the field. I'm just keeping an eye on him at the moment, and he's just come out behind Matty Clute. And Matty Clute on the way into the pits was running. Where was Clute running? I can't actually find him, but I know he was definitely a long way back. He's back in 18th position. So that's going to be roughly the point where Curtis has come out. So that's not going to be not ideal from his point of view, but he must have felt that you need to get that damage repaired.
No, not at all. And I'm just having a look at this Ashton Crowder. I mean, I think on the second caution, Bruce Barnes and him got together. So he's obviously come from the back of the pack all the way up third. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do with Purnell if he can just run away with this, because he's obviously got speed. He's got a little bit of damage on the right front, but that did not slow him during that run. He just went straight to the front.
Yeah, he certainly did, didn't he? He's got a great amount of pace, and this is the first time that we've actually seen Ashton in Anzcar. I'm not sure whether he's come over as one of the friends of Braden Boulis, and if he is one of Braden Boulis' friends, there's every chance that he's got that pro license as well, of course. So he's certainly displaying a lot of pace, and he's moved his way up very, very well, 37th to 2nd at the moment. So certainly having a good run, even with that big spin down the back stretch. Let's not forget. So Chris Purnell's going to have his hands full. That's the overriding feeling that I'm getting looking at this top two.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great run, because you got that in them two. You got Scurlock back there, Mickelmore, Jason Martin. You know, he wants to do really well. I mean, it's pretty solid top 5 here.
Yeah, it's a high talent top 5, isn't it? And even looking further back, you've got the likes of Sadler and Danson who've won races before. We've got Riley Curtis, who obviously had that issue. Dave Douglas is back there as well. Raymond, who was our winner at Daytona, qualified 40th tonight. Boulis is still back there in the pack. He's in 22nd. There's a lot of talent up and down this field. And a few new guys really making a name for themselves as well, so it's good to see.
Yeah, there is. I'm just having a little bit of a sticky beak on Ashton Crowder on iRacing. I'll just see if he is a pro driver or not.
I'd say there's every chance. If he's not a pro driver, he's certainly putting in a pro performance tonight in that 77th. But as the lights on the pace car are now out, we are forming up 2x2, ready to go green again. Chris Purnell is going to lead us away, as we mentioned, with Crowder on the outside, Jason Martin and Michael Scurlock making up that second row, with Mickelmore and Doughty on the third row. And we're just going to be able to see when it goes green, where everyone's going to sort themselves out, where they're going to be, where they're going to run. And I think, just back in the pack there, I saw Bradley Cheney get into the back of Phil Otto. If he didn't hit him, he got very, very close.
Well, I tell you, Phil Otto must be one of the most unluckiest guys in Anzcar. He just seems to be getting hit all the time from every track.
Yeah, he does. He definitely has his share of bad luck, Phil Otto, but he's certainly very solid. I remember him putting in a great lap in I believe it was Daytona or Talladega. Actually qualified directly behind him. He qualified up on the front row for an Anzcar race there, and certainly very capable when he's able to stay out of the way of sort of probably those things that inevitably happen in the pack.
Yeah, and we're just gone back to green. I mean, Ashton Crowder had an awesome restart there, actually. Particularly, like, you don't really get the greatest restarts in second position, but I did have a look. He is a pro driver, so we'll see what he can do. You got Jason Martin all under him.
Yeah, they're looking, aren't they? Jason Martin's not going to be interested in having this foreign interloper coming in and dominating his what he considers to be his competition. That's for absolute certain. But Purnell's the one who's having to deal with it at the moment. Crowder looking there to the inside, and Jason Martin there looking to possibly follow Crowder through. I don't think Purnell's going to want to have any of that as he sticks in around the outside. That's for absolute certain. But it looks as though he's been forced to give up that lead, and Crowder leads for the first time tonight.
Yeah, he does. That was a pretty strong move down there to get underneath Purnell and get with it. But Purnell's fighting pretty strong against Jason Martin here. He's still battling there. You got Scurlock right behind them, and is that Ben Doherty, I think, still?
Yeah, I think it is. He's managed to make his way back up to 5th position, so he's got a lot of pace tonight, doesn't he, Ben Doherty? He's carrying that damage. He may have got some repairs in the pits, but he hasn't really spent a lot of time in the pits to make you think that he's got any significant repairs done. And they're just coming up on the back of what I believe is Aaron Dillon there, so Dillon's going to try and stay well out the way, and everyone else is just going to try and funnel down behind. And Chris Purnell not giving Jason Martin any room at all, as he's having a look there up the inside. But yeah, Purnell's slicing the nose off that number 21 Mustang.
We're just taking a look at Ben Doherty's sort of front end there, and he has taken quite a bit of damage out of that car. So he obviously has gotten repairs at some point, but it's incredible that he's actually managed to stay up there, putting our 4th position, by doing that.
Yeah, he's done an excellent job, hasn't he? I think just sort of looking a little bit back further in the field, we've got a couple of other drivers who've made some good progress. Matt Danson's up to 8th now. He's right behind Gavin Sadler, Josh Mickelmore. They're all sort of there. And Darren McKenzie, we haven't talked about him too much tonight, but he's sitting there in P9. He started 39th. He has gained 30 positions, and he's sitting right up there on the back of Matt Danson. So he's always fast, Darren McKenzie, but sometimes he gets involved in a little bit of nonsense. But tonight, he's certainly made his way through the field very cleanly. I can't see a mark on that number 75. He's up there running inside the top 10, so well done to him.
Yeah, he just looks like he's behind Danson at the moment, but yeah, run for him all the way up into the top 10. It's actually looking pretty dicey up there, sort of between 3rd on back.
Yeah, 3rd on back maybe, but look at the gap between 1st and 2nd. Ashton Crowder has absolutely cleared out. He is half a second ahead of Chris Purnell now. Purnell still doing his best to hold off Jason Martin. Doesn't look as though Jason's got an answer for him at the moment. And Ben Doherty, I think, something's actually happened to Scurlock, because he's dropped back behind Doherty and Mickelmore, and may even come under pressure from Sadler very soon. So I'm not sure if he actually got up and got a piece of the wall.
His car looks clean. He's on the back of Mickelmore here, just coming around the outside. That's not a bad move. He's going to get a good run down into turn 1. I think he'll clear him. I don't know if he'll be able to duck down. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? But I think Scurlock did get a little piece of the wall, so that's what cost him that momentum. But it looked like it's cost him too much in terms of car speed, so that's good news for the man going for the 3-peat tonight.
He's still all the way back. It's not Norrie all the way back, but he's up there in 5th. He's putting a lot of pressure on Ben Doherty here through turns 3 and 4. We'll see what he can do coming out and into the tri-oval. But yeah, I'm really impressed with Doherty, actually, just with that damage. And I mean, even though he's obviously repaired some, it's still damaged, and he's just up there in the top 5.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Sometimes it affects you and sometimes it doesn't, but he's obviously got awesome pace anyway. I mean, he did qualify on the outside the front row. So he's done an awesome job, still doing an awesome job. I imagine that Scurlock's going to be wanting to get past him sooner rather than later, because I don't think that Doherty's long-run pace has been overly good, especially compared to those guys immediately in front of him. So I think that Scurlock's going to be wanting to make a move, and as I say that, he moves very quickly to the outside and looking to round up the 313 around the high side.
Yeah, he does. He gets a great run coming off turn 3 and 4. He's just on the outside here. See if he can get a good run coming off turn 2, sorry. It looks like he's pretty much side by side at the moment. I think he might get a good run down the back stretch and clear him in turn 4, but I don't think Ben Doherty's going to give this up.
No, certainly not. Just watching out in the background as well, Braden Bull just got a big tank slapper on, trying to get a move done on Joseph Tavora. Wasn't able to do it, and did definitely get a tank slapper on. Managed to catch it. He'll continue on to fight another day, but he's now got Ryan Jones for company right up behind him as well. And Braden has it all to do again to catch back up to Joseph and get that move done.
Yeah, where is he? Back in 12th. So he's sort of slowly coming his way to the front, but he's going to probably make a name for himself by the end of this. We're just on lap 6 now, so we actually have passed halfway. We've got 40 laps to go. It's been a pretty good green flag run. So tyre wear is definitely coming into play now.
And we were counting Ultimate Dirt TV Camrys earlier on today. And James Robbie is out there in the 41. I wasn't able to locate him first time round, but he's there just ahead of his teammate, George Fullerton. So all 3 of those guys are out there tonight. And running solidly all actually in the top half of the field as well, so that's great to see.
Yeah, we've got Ashton Crowder here. He's now 1.2 seconds ahead of Chris Purnell, so he's just driving away at the moment.
Yeah, he's just got too much pace for them at the moment, doesn't he? You almost kind of need a bull loss or someone like that to actually get up there to try and give him a little bit of a challenge. Of course, we mentioned Braden just before down there in 12th position, so it looks as though the crowd has definitely got the pace to drive away from everyone tonight. It's actually driving up on the back of well, I believe it's one of the lads racing cars. I think it's Maxfield, Todd Maxfield, who is a good few laps down now. He's actually 24 laps down. Todd Maxfield has come back out onto the track and definitely just running for points now in 42nd position. No retirements here tonight either. Everyone took the start of the race and nobody has retired, so that's excellent to see.
Yeah, he's the only person I can see is JD led, but I don't think he actually took the green flag.
No, I imagine he was in here as a spotter or a spectator or something like that, because his name hasn't been listed in the results all night. So we just saw Maxfield just go up and touch the wall as Ashton Crowder's gone past him as well.
He's in the wall again.
Yeah, so Doty in the wall again as well. So a few guys out there having a bit of a rough run, and of course that's allowed Gavin Sadler back past Doty. I think Matt Danson, as he's come up looking to make a move now past Doty and get himself up there into the top 7.
We've got Jason Martin's now all the way at the back to the back end of Chris Purnell. He's taking a slightly higher line here. Should probably get a good run down into turn 2, but yeah, I think he wants to try and get this pass done and see if he can do anything with Ashton.
And I'll tell you what, Todd Maxfield with that damaged car is going to be making a few drivers very, very nervous, because there seems to be enough damage on that car that he's not actually able to hold it in probably as straight a line as he wished he could. He's trying to run around the high side of the track, do the right thing, let all the other drivers pass. But of course, on a low grip circuit with a heavily damaged car like that, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to do. So I think it's going to be worrying a few of the guys as they try to come around him, but all clean so far. No foul.
Yeah, I can see his name pop up on the screen. He's obviously giving instructions to the guys, probably telling him he's going to stay high, which he has been. Just into the wall there a little bit. Oh, now he comes down to the apron. Just hopefully he can pull it up before turn 3, but yeah, it all looks pretty good at the moment.
Yeah, it looks as though he's actually diving back down there to the pit lane, Todd Maxfield. He may be about to call it a day, actually. That car really doesn't seem as though it's handling the way he would want it to handle. And running around 25 laps down, he's unlikely to gain any positions from there if there's a retirement ahead of him anyway. So it's only going to be 1 or 2 spots at the most. So it might be, he may just be pulling into the pits and saying, that's enough for me, I'm done for the night.
Yeah, we've got 3 wide Braden Bullis at the moment going in between turn 3. I think Mackenzie and Ben Doherty, they all make it through there. I think they were almost actually 4 wide coming off the corner. I think Steve Williams is up there too. That was pretty cool coming off turn 2. I don't know if you guys saw that, but in the background it looked like 4 wide almost.
Yeah, and the thing that Bullis has actually done there, I think he actually got a couple of wheels down onto the apron as well, which made the back end of his car start to get a little bit skittish as he came through, but he still managed to keep the momentum and get that move done. So Bullis now moving up ahead of Doherty, so he's going to be moving up into a net 8th position and really starting to make his presence felt on that leading group as well. So these guys that we're still starting way back in the field, definitely starting to make a run towards the front.
They are. Yeah, Jason Martin's just now past. What happened there? I think obviously you missed all that, but Scurlock and Jason Martin have both gotten around Chris Purnell now, so it looks like Jason Martin's back into 2nd, which is probably where he wants to be, and let's see if he can actually just make a move on Ashton.
I reckon, sorry to cut you off, Daniel, I reckon Purnell's tyres are absolutely gone. He just came out of turn 2 and the back end of that Camry was all over the place, and now Micklemore's getting a run on him as well. I reckon he's burned those tyres off good and proper.
He's actually got a good crinkle on the right front too, so he might have copped the wall.
I'd say there's no might about it. I'd say that's well spotted. I'd say that's exactly what happened. He's got a piece of the wall, but I think the piece of the wall got caught because of the lag. Oh, even coming through turn 2 there, the back end stepping out again and again. He's got no tyres left in the back of that Camry at all. They are absolutely gone.
And the guy, I think, with the most tyres at the moment, Scurlock, he's really battling Jason Martin here. But at the moment, Ashton, he's just gone. He's out to a 3-second lead.
Yeah, not only is Scurlock there, but Micklemore's there as well. And haven't we seen that upturn in form from Josh Micklemore this season as opposed to last? You know, there were times, races last season where you didn't see too much of Josh. He didn't do every race. He was kind of in and out and in and out. He did get busy with some other things. And as we see Purnell get another... Oh, Purnell, big slide on there. I think he got another piece of the wall there. He really needs a new set of boots for that Camry, absolutely. But yeah, Josh Micklemore's on a really rich vein of form at the moment. He's put a lot of practice, a lot of work into actually getting his team set up and getting everything set right, and it's really paying dividends for him at the moment. He's having a great run.
Yeah, I think between Purnell and Jason Martin, they just used up their tyres sort of racing each other. But I don't think Purnell was straight at all. At the moment he came off turn 2 into turn 3, he's almost spinning again coming off turn 2. He's actually down on the apron.
That car is so bad. You can see how bad it is. It almost reminds me of his stint. One of his first stints with ANZCAR, actually, his Bullis comes right up onto the back of Chris Burnell. His first ever race in ANZCAR. I'm fairly sure it was his first race, which was Coke 600 in the Cup Series that we ran last season. And he had a car there that was like an absolute roller skate and kicking out of every corner. And it just reminds me, watching him trying to hold on to it here, what it was actually like back in that race as well. He's got the ability to hang on to it, but... you know, there's only so much a man can do with no tyres.
He's just about to break again. Yeah, he's almost out of control. I pretty much say he's out of control at the moment, but he's going to hang up there in 8th, and yeah, he's just praying for a caution right now. These laps just keep ticking down. We only got 28 laps to go.
He's got to pit. He's got to pit. I think everyone's going to have to pit before the end of the race. I don't think for fuel, but I think for tyres. And if Chris Purnell pits, he can steal a march on the rest of them. I reckon if I'm Chris Purnell right now, I come to the lane. That's my call.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're right.
I mean, what's he going
yellow.
to achieve? Oh, there's that caution. Just having a look around now to see if we can actually spot who was involved in that. I think the 019, Brogan Pickett Norris, may have been involved in that. He certainly was down on the apron. He certainly had a part of it, I think. I'm not sure he was the cause necessarily. He was down on the apron. And
yeah, I've got
he
him
did get
on the
into
apron.
the wall as he regained the track. But I think that the 777, Dwayne Priest, might have actually had something to do with that as well. Our pole sitter, let's not forget. Just going back to have a quick look at him. Yeah, Dwayne Priest. Dwayne Priest. In fact, there was a big one. Dwayne Priest didn't cause it. I think that Matty Raymond was involved in that one. And the 83's got into the back of the 074, gone across the grass. Meanwhile, they're all wrecking up there on the straight ahead of him. They're just sort of touching. 74, Cheney gets into the back of Priest, and yeah, all 4 of them went around, so that's what's brought the caution out. And I'm afraid that is nothing more than worn tyres. There's nothing more sure there than that was just worn tyres.
Yeah, once again, I caught the back end of that, but not actually what happened. I don't know what's going on tonight for me, but yeah.
Yeah, so all 4 of those cars involved. So I think it was Priest, Cheney, and I think a couple of the MFR cars were in that too. I think perhaps Pickett Norris wasn't in it, but yeah, a couple of the MFR cars were involved in that as well. So, but either way, Ashton Crowder has come into the pits first with everyone. He has left first.
What's he done there?
What's he done? He's just sort of pulled out the way.
He's parked it now.
What's he stopped for? I'm not sure what's going on there, if he's having controller issues or something like that, but he's pulled over and stopped to the exit of the pit lane, and that's allowed Jason Martin back into the lead.
Yeah, it has. I'm just not too sure what happened there.
He's taking off now.
Maybe he thinks he can get it done in 20, 25, 24 laps.
But why would you give up the lead? Obviously something's happened to him now that's caused him to pull out the way with a few laps to go. And that's given Jason Martin the lead from that man again, Michael Scurlock. Josh Micklemore's going to be in 3rd. Gavin Sadler 4th. Purnell there with fresh boots on that Camry now in 5th.
Yeah, well, maybe with him out of the way, the sort of the race for the lead might have got a little bit more interesting. But yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. He just sort of pulled out the end of the pits.
Yeah, odd one. But maybe something we can talk to him about after the race if he stops in for an interview. But anyway, that's going to give the lead to, I think Robert Mason actually has stayed out. And he has taken over the lead for the time being. I'm not sure if that's a mistake by him. His tyres have got to be absolutely munted by now, and his car's looking around about the same sort of condition. But he is being scored as the leader at the moment ahead of Jason Martin.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see him in soon. But yeah, he's kicked up a point anyway. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Like you say, he's left front heavily damaged. You got the sort of left front tyre that's pretty much just poking out of the car. Pretty sure we'll see him in.
Yeah, he's surely got to come to the lane, doesn't he? Maybe he stayed out to get that point for leading a lap, but you kind of think that he gained more than that single point by pitting with everyone else and getting fresh tyres and staying out. But anyway, so that's what's happened. He's still out on track, so we'll see what actually takes place, whether or not he comes around to take the restart on those old tyres. I can't see him moving towards the pit lane yet, though.
I think, yeah, I'm not too sure what's going on here. It's not going to be a fun restart if he for him.
Well, it's not going to be a fun restart for anyone starting directly behind him. It's going to be a great restart for Jason Martin because he's just going to have a perfect run to just accelerate and extend over Scurlock and anyone else. But we've got Braden Bullis and Matt Danson back there as well, so hopefully nothing happens on the restart that affects their charge towards the lead. But in any event, it's going to be very interesting to see what actually happens with Robert Mason starting out at P1.
Yeah, so I'd say you probably take off a little bit early just to try and get some traction. But yeah, I'd have to say Jason Martin on the high side. He'd at least get a run through turns 3 and 4. But yeah, Bullis and Danson, you got Mickelmore back there too, Scurlock and Purnell, I think he's back there. But Stephen Williams has actually also come through. I'm not sure what happened to Purnell. It looks like he's dropped back.
Yeah, I think he dropped back probably a little bit just to get a bit of that damage fix, but he has dropped back quite a long way, so I think he probably got some of that damage fix because it would have been hurting him. So he's dropped back a little way. He's going to need to fight his way back up, but Stephen Williams has taken his place for Illusion up there. He's in 8th position at the moment. Joseph Tavora is having a great run, isn't he? Rookie there in P9. And we were talking earlier on about Dominic Ferraris, who was running so well. He's actually our last car on the lead lap at the moment, P27.
Yes, just have a look at this. I mean, Scurlock doesn't want a bar of. Yeah, he's gone too.
No, why would you? Why would you? Look what's happened there. Mason straight off into the grass. And I wonder if that's going to result in penalties for anyone.
Yeah, I've seen that happen before. It'd be unfortunate if it does. Yeah, but they all might have passed him on the outside. I'm not too sure what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
At the moment, you got Matt Danson all over the back of Scurlock.
But even if they passed him on the outside, if they were ahead of him at the time that the green flag went, could have been in trouble. But as we see there, it was Mason's just got on the throttle, no grip at all, spun those tyres up and shot straight down onto the grass. But looks like no one's going to the pits, so everyone is rolling around okay. So I don't think any penalties.
No, but there is a lot of driver chatter going on at the moment, sort of with those top 5 drivers. So I'm not too sure about penalties yet.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but either way, let's go with what we have, and that is Jason Martin who leads, Scurlock there in 2nd, Matt Danson and Braden Bullis having come all the way up from the back of the field there in 3rd and 4th. Stephen Williams, Josh Mickelmore, Gavin Sadler still solid there with his teammate James Robbie right behind him. Tavora, Doubtnack, Clute, Douglas, Ryan Jones, Matthew Lawson and Dan Stevens running at top 15, all on the lead lap as things stand.
Yeah, at the moment I think Jason Martin's best friend is Scurlock there, and you got Bullis right behind him. I think if them two can sort of get to racing, maybe you got...
Oh, we've got one of the Illusion cars right down to the inside there. That's Doubtnack, that's Mirko Doubtnack. Just got it completely loose out of turn 2 and down onto the apron. He's managed to regain, he's lost a ton of positions, but he's managed to regain right behind Ryan Jones.
Yeah, that's good. I did catch him getting a bit loose there. But yeah, I think if Bullis and Scurlock can get to racing a little bit, might help Jason's cause. But I mean, he's got to go green flag. But yeah, Scurlock, exactly. he's fighting at the moment. He wants the lead, actually. He's sort of driven away a little bit from Braden. They're very close together.
Yeah, well, it's coming up. It's almost what they call go time, isn't it? We're less than 20 laps to go. And that's going to mean that these guys are not going to be looking at saving tyres, although with 20 laps we know what the tyre life is like around here, so they're still going to have that in the back of their minds. But Scurlock really looks as though he is going for this three-peat tonight. He does not want anyone to get in his way. He doesn't care if Jason Martin's a multiple-time champion winner or anything else. He just wants to win this thing, and looks as though he is putting all his effort into doing exactly that. To hell with what happens with the tyres at the end. You'll deal with that when that problem arises. Okay, so it looks as though we have had another wreck there at the back. Just having a look as to who was involved in that. Looks as though there's a few cars involved in that, actually. Norman Clark's involved.
Purnell.
I can tell you that much, but it looks as though Purnell was involved in it as well. Is that right?
It looks like, to me, Purnell's gotten loose coming off turn 2 and ended up in...
He's taken Dan Stevens, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, very hard to have I'm just having a quick look at what's happened there. I can't really tell if... I'm just going to have a look from another couple of views just to see if I can make some sort of call on that. But it looks as though Purnell's coming to the turn with Stevens on his inside. He's moved across They didn't make contact through the tri-oval or anything like that. I think Stevens has come up into Purnell. Stevens has oversteered a little bit. That's caused, and that caused Purnell to oversteer. They got into one another. Purnell's gone off down the back straight. Stevens has gone off. They both spun. And I think a couple of cars have actually spun trying to avoid Purnell as well. So, Norman Clark, the 57 was in there, the 88 was in it as well. So a lot of guys actually not getting too far involved with that accident, but just coming off just almost in sympathy, trying to avoid the incident.
Yeah. That's all I can say. Yeah.
All right, so anyway, we've had pit stops while all that's been going on, and they have come out as they went in. Jason Martin, Scurlock, Micklemore, and just having a look to see who's behind him. I think it might be Matt Danson in there behind him as well. And a quick shout out to Matty Clute as well. He's we haven't talked too much about him tonight, but he's up to P6, so he's had a very good solid run through the traffic as well.
Yeah, he's come from what it looks like 14th position, so he's pretty much sort of been in that top 15 all night, and yeah, he's back into top 6 now. He's going to be trying to get into that top 5. Yeah, very good run.
I'll tell you who has been a big loser in that round of pit stops. In fact, there's been a couple of them, and that is Gavin Sadler and Stephen Williams. They came into the pits together in 4th and 5th, and now they're sort of down in 6th and 7th, I think. So it hasn't really worked out for them.
We just have to wait for him to cross the line at the moment, because I know he's gone back a couple of positions. Let's have a look here. Definitely got Jason Martin in the lead, followed by Scurlock and I think Bullos, Danson and Micklemore, Stephen Williams, Gav Sadler, James Robbie, Matty Clute. He dropped a couple of positions back down to 9th, and then Ryan Jones in the top 10.
Yeah, Ryan Jones having another good solid run tonight. We've seen him on a couple of occasions. We haven't spoken too much about him, but he had a very good run at Daytona. He's having another very good run tonight as well. And that top 15, that all-important top 15, let's not forget, and I'll say that because that's the position. Top 15 is what a driver has to average across this series to gain eligibility for the Cup Series. Now we've got a few non-Cup drivers occupying those positions at the moment. We've got Ashton Crowder in there, 14th place. We've got Matthew Lawson, 12th. We've got Ryan Jones in 10th. And those are the only non-Cup drivers we've got there in the top 15, but they're having very good runs.
Yeah, they definitely are indeed. I'm just having a look. It's got 29 drivers on the lead lap. So it's pretty good for this sort of style racing in the track at least.
Yeah, it's been good, but I think it's because we've been punctuated by cautions as well. So it's not really giving drivers the opportunity to lap one another. I think the only drivers who have been lapped are drivers who've sort of hit issues. I don't think anyone's really been lapped on raw pace, simply because the green flag runs haven't been overly long. We're kind of averaging about 10 to 15 laps in between cautions at the moment. So I think we are just looking at the way things are at the moment. Yes, we are. We're on the last lap before green. We've only got less than 15 laps now to the end of this one. So let's see what they're able to do. Scurlock on the outside, Martin on the inside. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually just taking a look back at. There's still actually a battle going on for the very last position. Nobody has actually retired from this race. There's still 42 cars circulating, and that's 27 laps down between Aaron Dillon and Todd Maxfield. So I mean, there's still a race going on there for last position.
Yeah, I think I saw Aaron Dillon actually disconnect, so he may be gone, unless you can see something I can't. But anyway, we are coming around to the start. Pace car's just about to tuck off. We're coming up to what, let's all hope, is going to be our last restart of the night. Martin on the inside, Scurlock on the inside, Bullis there ready to take advantage as well. Danson and Micklemore, it's all quality up the front. So let's see how we go. Pace car just about to drop off, and Jason Martin has gone. He's gone, and Braden Bullis with an excellent restart as well. He's got to be threatening Scurlock into turn 1.
Yeah, I can imagine Scurlock just wants to go full throttle here and just try and clear and coming out of turn 2, or at least get a run into turn 3. But yeah, that inside line's prevailing at the moment for Bullis. I don't know if he's going to be able to clear him. I think he does though. Yeah, Scurlock will try and duck down to the inside.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, Scurlock's been too nice there, I think. Scurlock, in my opinion, there was too nice. He gave a couple of car widths there on the inside to Bullis, when in actuality, could almost think that he wanted to be rubbing right up against his door, pinching him down and really compromising Bullis's run off the turn. I think he's been a little bit generous there, but either way, he's still got P3.
Yeah, Michael Moore's just gotten around Danson there for fourth too, but I think there's going to be a really good run for the lead here towards the end now. Jason Martin and Braden Bullis, two of the best in ANZCAR, and they're just going head-to-head now.
Absolutely, and Martin's going to be driving with his mirrors there, isn't he? Because, I mean, Martin hasn't had the pace advantage that we're used to seeing him have tonight. You know, we saw he didn't take the pole position, although I think a little bit of track evolution may have had something to do with that as well. You know, Scurlock's been running with him on pace at points. Purnell's been running with him on pace, and now I'd say that Bullis has definitely got a pace advantage over him as well. So we'll see if Martin's able to turn up the wick a bit now that he's in front. I think just looking, it looked as though somebody just glanced the wall there. I didn't get a look at which car it was. It was one of the top two. And looks as though Bullis just doing his best to. And yellow flag out on the track again.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, again, I'm not too sure what happened there.
I think Dominic Ferraris was involved in it. He definitely was. And I think he was actually the cause of it too. He's come out of turn 2. Oh, Purnell's got into him. Purnell's got into Dominic Ferraris, stuck him right into the fence, and he's tried to control it. He's bounced off the wall. He's bounced into Norman Clark, and I think the 88's actually crashed trying to avoid them as well. Clark's actually copped a really bad hit there. That's really unfortunate for him. And I think Bradley Cheney, the 74, has become involved in that as well. I'm not quite sure how he became involved in it. Yeah, it looks as though he just really had nowhere to go as well. But that was caused by Purnell just running up into the side of the 38 and sticking him straight into the fence. So unfortunate there. Purnell having a bit of a rough run. And the rookie, Ferraris, unfortunately the victim of that too.
Yeah, he was having a pretty good run all night now. I don't know what the leaders are doing if they're coming into the pits. I'm just trying to take a look.
Looks as though they're staying out. Jason Martin stayed out. Bullis has stayed out. Just having a look behind, Scurlock has stayed out. Yeah, everyone's actually stayed out on track. So nobody willing to give up position with less than 10 to go.
No, definitely. They're probably sort of hoping, like pretty much after this green flag, the next flag sort of entered. I think if there's a yellow flag, they won't get the laps because they're pretty much probably going to get back to green here on lap 95.
And one interesting thing we've just seen there is Ricky Cornwall getting the lucky dog. And he's a driver who we've seen running up front. We've seen him have some really good races. He's had a bit of an ordinary one tonight, actually. He's down in 30th place and 1 lap down. But he's actually just taken that lap back as the lucky dog. So he's going to join as the 30th car on the lead lap, right up behind a few of the other drivers like Norman Clark and Ferraris that are going to be carrying damage, and he's going to be looking to make his way through as well. So I think a couple of those guys are actually on pit road at the moment. They are. So Cornwall's actually managed to gain those positions already, and he's going to slot in right behind the rest of that pack, and we'll see what positions he can make for the Knights Open.
Yeah, for sure. So it's pretty much top 5 of the mains: Jason Martin, Braden Bullis, Michael Scurlock, Josh Mickelmore, Matt Danson. I think my predictions for this restart, yeah, Jason gets a good jump. I mean, Bullis was right on the back of his bumper, only by a couple of inches. So, yeah, you'd think Jason would try and get a good restart. And hopefully Scurlock and Bullis maybe start racing and can sort of get away. But you got Mickelmore and Danson back there. But yeah, next flag ended, so it's pretty much going to be a sprint from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, aside from Chris Purnell, you wouldn't say that we've really seen anyone who's run at the front tonight suffer any kind of misfortune to stick them to the back. So all of our front runners are still up there battling for the victory. So it's going to be fascinating these last few laps, if we manage to run green, to actually see who's going to get this one done, because it's going to be on. There is a lot of quality there at the front of that pack, as we mentioned earlier on.
Yeah, there definitely is. The only other bloke that sort of ran up there was Crowder, and I think he's back there in the 11th position, so he probably won't be a factor.
Yeah, not with this amount of time to go, you would think. We're on lap 92 at the moment of the 100 scheduled laps. So by the time we come around, I think we've got at least one more lap under caution. We're going to be looking at sort of 6 laps to go, roughly, something like that. So not a lot of time for Crowder to make his way forward. I'd still be interested to know what happened to cause him to give up a lead there at the end of that pit stop. But anyway, we'll see what happens with the guys who are there at the front. And it should be a great finish. Hopefully we can run green to the end, and this should be a really, really exciting finish.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, you got also teammates James Robbie and Gavin Sadler there at the sort of, I think they're 8th and 9th, or 7th and 8th, and Matty Clewett Ryan Jones. So it's going to be these guys are just going to be battling all over the place.
Yeah, well, let's not forget we got Darren McKenzie there in 12th as well, and he's always quite aggressive and makes some moves. So we'll see what he's able to put on as well. And Dave Douglas, we were talking to him earlier on, and I think we were talking to him. He was sort of back in the late 20s, sort of position-wise, and he's up to position 14 at the moment, just ahead of his team boss, Riley Curtis, there in 15th. So they have come up a long way. And Daniel Stevens, who was involved in that wreck a little bit earlier on as well, still running 17th, so top half of the field, not too bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good. We've already got 28 cars still on the lead lap. Yeah, I think Dave Douglas is 26th, and we'll talk to him. So he's made it back up to 14th. Something happens in front of him. And he wanted to keep his car clean, and it looks like it is pretty clean. So, yeah, we'll see where he ends up.
All right, so get ready, guys. Pace car is about to go off. It's going to be a very interesting start between these two. I would expect to see Jason Martin jump early to try and get as much gap as he can between himself and Braden Bullis. But let's see what tactic he does adopt. We're just waiting for the pace car to drop down. Shouldn't be too long now. Just watching the pace car. There it goes. Jason Martin backs them up. And off he goes. He's just dropped the throttle there. He has got a good jump on Braden Bullis. Braden, I think, got a tiny little bit of wheel spin, just a little bit of waggle on the back end there that's stopped him from really keeping pace. Ryan Jones has got a shocking start, actually. Been pushed right up against the wall, but it's still Martin.
There's a big wreck back there.
Under caution again.
That was lap 90. They might actually get one lap shootout. I think Chris Purnell, he wasn't the cause. That looks like, on my screen anyway, I finally actually see a flag tonight. It looks like Ben Doherty, he's definitely involved. But I mean, these guys are 4 or 5 wide almost.
I actually reckon that might have been Purnell again. Purnell was 3 wide in between Fullerton and Lawson. And Lawson looks like he's come up into the side of Purnell. Purnell spun, but he hasn't spun. They've caught it. They've kept going.
I see something on my screen. It's a bit hazy, but it looks like the 98 car. That's Stephen Williams. He's in the grass. He's got
there's
hit by
more
the
going
77.
on. Yeah, I think there were 2 incidents. I think there were actually 2 incidents there. There was the one with Purnell that we just talked about, and then there was the one a little bit further back, and I think that Raymond Yeager may have been involved in that. I think that the 43 of Tristan Koch may have been in it as well.
I think there was a wheel spin between 10 drivers.
Yeah, Ben Doherty was in it. Ben Doherty, he was the one who actually, that's what's happened. Ben Doherty off the start has got right into the back of the 62 of Doubtnack, and everyone's checked up. The 074's kind of got a bit loose, spun into Doherty. Doherty's come down. He's collected Yeager and about 900 other people. So that's what kicked that one off.
It was actually before that, though. If you go about 10-15 positions ahead, Stephen Williams is in the grass. I think those guys were checking up. They didn't know what was going on. They saw cars everywhere, and they checked up in the back. Caused the second incident.
Big mess, big mess. I think there was at least 2 or perhaps 3 separate incidents going on there.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is going to pretty much set up for a 1 to 2 lap shootout.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky, isn't it? I mean, Jason Martin's going to be happy for the rest of this race to run under caution. He doesn't care. He's quite happy for it to run around. Everybody else is going to want it to run green. Get that 1 or 2 laps worth of green flag running in order to actually get a couple of positions. Braden Bullis in there, he's going to be not happy, just due to the fact that I think he would have probably thought that he could have had a bite Jason Martin there. Scurlock sitting there going, I want this third victory here at Atlanta in the space of a few days. And that he's just not getting the opportunity to get it at the moment. Sitting there in 3rd place, still very solid there, though. And Matt Danson has come up so far from the back of the grid. He's finding his progress a little bit halted there as well by the fact that they can't get any green flag running.
Yeah, Danson needs a green flag through here, but I think it's only going to be 1 or 2 laps. So yeah, it's going to be the mind games now, because I think Jason left that restart pretty late last time. I don't know if he goes early this time or keeps it late again, but yeah, he's going to try and keep Bullos guessing. Yeah,
it's been a little bit like the real-life Daytona 500, isn't it? Where we saw a fair amount of green flag running throughout the first 90% of the race, and then at the end, all of a sudden, this big glut of cautions as everyone starts to sort of panic and want to make positions and want to make time. And obviously, the impatience of coming down to the last couple of laps does that. But let's hope that the last couple of laps, or one lap that we get green flag racing, is going to turn out to be pretty good. We're on lap 97 at the moment, so I would imagine that it's going to be one lap. We're going to get one green flag lap.
And it's going to be a good one. I think the 21 car of Martin's pretty much in the prime position here. I think the battle's going to be between Scurlock and Boulos.
Yeah, well, what is absolutely crucial for Boulos is that he manages to get a decent restart on that outside line. And of course, it's very difficult because you can't go before the leader goes. You've got to delay yourself. And even if you do it by a tenth of a second, these cars can accelerate a long way in a tenth of a second. So it's very, very hard to get a decent run on that outside when you're starting on outside row 1. And he's got probably the most difficult job off this restart. If anyone can do it, he can do it. He can make a good fist of it there on the outside. And if he and Jason Martin go into turn 1 side by side, which is what Boulos is going to be aiming for, I think that the way we've seen the outside line behave so far, I think that Braden can actually get this move done. But if Jason gets away well, I'm afraid it's all over.
Might actually be 2 laps because they're side by side now, and the pace car lights are out, so that indicates that we're going green on lap 99 and then 100, so 2 laps.
Alright, so we're going to get a bonus lap. We're going to get 2 laps with a green flag running at the end, provided nothing silly happens further back there in the pack. And of course, there's a lot of cars here. There's a lot of room for things to go wrong. But it's been very, very clean up the front. If you look at those cars that are running in that top pack, and when I say top pack, I'm looking all the way sort of down there to around about 10th place. So those first 5 or 6 rows, all the cars are looking fairly well spotless. I think the first car carrying any damage is Chris Purnell there, running in 13th position. So it's been very clean at the front, not so much at the back though.
That's actually pretty good by Purnell to be 13th. I think he's been in a couple of wrecks now, unfortunately, and yeah, he's sliding a long way back there in that middle section of the race. But yeah, 13th, not too bad.
Not too bad at all. So here we go. Pace car about to duck off. We're going to have 2 laps to settle this. 2 laps to decide who's going to walk away with round 2 of the 131 Rock Thunder Series brought to us by ANZCAR. So here we go. Pace car is off. Jason Martin drops the hammer and goes. He didn't get away that well, but Boulos has pulled right in behind him. I reckon Jason got a little bit of wheel spin there. Perhaps Boulos got off worse because he slotted in right there behind Jason Martin, and Scurlock didn't really get away well at all. It is absolute pandemonium behind these front 3.
It is. You got Jason Martin. He's blocking pretty hard there, going into turn 3 down the backstretch.
Yeah, had one in the wall on the backstretch as well. I couldn't see who that was, but we got one in the wall on the backstretch. We haven't really got time to go back and check out who that was, but it certainly cost him a bunch of positions. Now we've got Boulos all over the back of Jason Martin as we go into the final lap of the race. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be the 21 or is it going to be the 01? Boulos homing right in. He's keeping a much tighter line than Jason is as he comes through turn 1 and 2. Is that going to be enough to get him the best line? Jason blocks. He obviously thinks that the inside line is going to be the line. Jason throws the block there. Boulos right on his bumper. Is he going to try and shift him out the way? Is it going to be a bump and run? I don't think he's close enough, and I reckon Jason Martin is going to cross the line to win this round. Boulos having a look, but no, it's going to be Jason Martin taking the victory from Boulos, Scurlock, Danson. Crowder got all the way up there to 5th. Robbie, Sadler, Mickelmore, Clute, and Purnell rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, it was a great race at the end there. I think Boulos a couple of more laps might have got him, but he was racing pretty hard and just couldn't do it. It was a great race.
All right, so that's absolutely excellently done. Well done to all of those drivers who managed to keep it clean during that one. A few horror shows there for the drivers who started up front. I mean, if you look at Ben Doherty, he wound up 3 laps down, and he's probably the most notable one who had a bit of a rough night tonight. But Jason Martin, he's one of the ones we said at the top of the program was going to need a good solid run tonight. You don't get much more solid than first place. And Gavin Sadler was another one we talked about who finished there in 7th position after starting 7th, so that's pretty straightforward as well for him. And Scurlock, he didn't get the 3 wins, but he got 2 firsts and a third in the 3 categories here, which have run in ANZCAR in Atlanta, so that's not a bad return at all.
No, it's not. I think he'll be pleased with that. I think he had a rough night on Monday in the trucks. So yeah, top 5 here, 3rd position. Yeah, I think he'll be pretty happy. Ashton Crowder, that was a pretty decent run. I don't know what happened to him at the end of the pits, but he's raced back up to 5th position. Yeah, James Robbie, Gavin Sadler, 6th, 7th. Yeah, good results for those guys.
Absolutely. So pretty decent finish, and as we mentioned, it was sort of that glut of cautions at the end that closed everyone up. It was sort of frantic, and I'd love to go back and have a look on board with Crowder or something to see how he made those spots, because he was a couple of spots further back than that, and definitely did sort of make a shoot for the lead. As he ran through there. So anyway, what we might do just before we go, we'll just give everyone a bit of a chance to finish up what they're doing in the race and actually get up into the green room. But before we start all that off, we might just run through our final race results as they stand. And as we mentioned, it was Jason Martin taking out that victory by only a tenth of a second from Braden Bullis. Michael Scurlock in third, then Matt Danson, Ashton Crowder, James Robbie, Gavin Sadler. Josh Mickelmore, Matty Clute, Chris Purnell in 10th after getting in the wars tonight a little bit himself. Then looking back, Darren McKenzie, Ryan Jones, Riley Curtis, Mirko Doutnak, Ricky Cornwall rounding out that top 15. Then we got Joseph Tavora, Nicholas Walsh, Matthew Lawson, Dave Douglas. Ended up dropping back to 19th after we saw him up there in 14th. So obviously he fell back a little way too. Then we got Daryl Hockey, Phil Otto, Raymond Yeager, Bradley Cheney, Dominic Ferraris, Matthew Raymond, Daniel Stevens, and George Fullerton. And they were the 27 that were left on the lead lap at the end. And then going back to the lapped cars, we've got Brian Richmond, Tristan Koch, Brogan Pickett Norris, Matt Hunter, Stephen Williams, Ben Doherty, Bruce Barnes, Norman Clark. Just about all of these guys we saw in a little bit of a wreck or something at some stage. Then Will Barrington, Michael Latta, Ryan Bull, Robert Mason, Dwayne Priest, Todd Maxfield, and Aaron Dillon, rounding out your 42-car field tonight.
Yeah, it's a massive car field. I think there's only a couple of retirements there. So I think Robert Mason, he retired. So maybe Mason, Priest, Maxfield, and Dillon's only 4 cars retired, which leaves 38 cars running out there. That was actually a really good effort.
Yeah, really good effort from everyone, especially given that how slippery this track was. So we've got a few drivers down there right now in the green room. We've got Jason Martin and Michael Scurlock, who finished in the top 3. So Danny, if it's all right with you, I might get you to conduct the interviews, because I'm just starting to struggle a little bit with my voice actually, so I might just leave it to you.
Sure. Jason Martin, just Danny G here from the broadcast booth. How are you going tonight?
Yeah, bloody good, mate. Finally got a win.
Yeah, that is good. You've had a bit of bad luck recently, but yeah, that must feel really good.
Sure does. After a couple of terrible results, it's good to finally get a good one.
Oh, it would be. So what was happening tonight? I mean, you were sort of up there a little bit and then sort of fell back. You were in the top 5 all night, but then just managed to sort of pinch the lead. I'm not sure what happened to Kraft, and he just sort of stopped there, but that pretty much gave you the lead and the control for the end of the race.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened to Crowder, I think it was, but other than that, yeah, it was a pretty smooth run except for my pit stops. I had a bit of trouble with them again.
We did see that.
Yeah, it just kept on sliding through. There was just no grip at all.
Well, that's no good, but you ended up making it back out there, and yeah, congratulations on that win, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Good to get a good result at last.
It was. Have you got anyone to shout out to?
Just got to thank the boys at Mitch Motorsports and BK Designs, and of course Performance E-Streaming for doing the broadcast.
Too easy, man. Thank you, and we'll catch you next time.
Cheers, mate.
All right, so we might just bring up Braden Bullis next with his came in a runner-up spot tonight.
Hello, Braden Bullis. How are you doing tonight after second place?
I guess about as good as you could be doing after second place.
Yeah, you look like you had a pretty decent restart. I mean, you were all over the back of him. Were you happy to see that? I don't know if you were happy to see that last caution, or would you have preferred that to go on green flag with about 7 laps to go?
I wish, to be completely honest, I wish it would have gone green with about 20 to go. We had a good little run in there. I really felt like I could have made something happen, but you don't always get the chance to.
No, you don't. I mean, you definitely had a fast car. I sort of expected Jason to run away there for 2 laps to go, but I mean, you were right there behind him, and he had a sort of a good look into turn 3, but it just didn't happen tonight. But yeah, congratulations on second.
Thanks.
All right, man. Do you have anyone you would like to shout out to?
I guess I'll give a shout out to all good old Matt Danson for just being himself. And shout out to Ashton Crowder. That was his first race in ANZCAR.
Yeah, well, he actually did a really good job. He was up there leading a lot of laps. Not sure what happened, but he was in the lead and then sort of pulled over to the side. But he had a lot of pace tonight and ended up 5th. That's not too bad.
Yeah, he ended up with a speeding penalty.
Okay, that's what happened. Oh well, man, fair enough. We'll catch you next race.
All right, I'll see you then.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we might bring in Michael Scurlock, who's come away after 2 wins in this this particular track. He's come away with P3 tonight.
Michael Scurlock, Danny G up in the broadcast booth. How are you tonight?
Yeah, good guys. Very good.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate you just couldn't get that 3rd win. I mean, to clean out Atlanta, but 3rd place, you pretty happy with that?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, no, I was just happy to be able to still see the rear end of those other drivers, man. Like, there's some talent out there.
Oh, 100%. You're doing very well. I mean, you're sort of up there pretty much every week at the moment and definitely battling alongside. I mean, you weren't sort of getting left for dead up there. Yeah, you've been running well.
Yeah, I just feel a bit sorry for Chris because he seems to have even more pace than me around here. He seemed to be holding off Martin for a while. And, yeah, I don't know, he must have banged the wall. I think I just jumped on the inside of him, you know, and then I don't know what happened to him. He must have hit the wall again. I don't know, but he went back. And, yeah, no, this is awesome, man. There's that, obviously, Ashton came flying past all of us and just took off for a while there.
Yeah, he definitely did. I was just talking to Braden Bullos. He said he copped the speeding penalty, which is why he sort of pulled off in 1st position. And I think we saw Chris Purnell, he was just caught up in a couple of incidents there, but he actually didn't do too bad, finishing in 10th.
Yeah, no, it was a good race. I mean, there was a few yellows in there, but they were sort of spaced out nicely because the tyres started going off real bad. You know, once they go off, you sort of feels like you're driving a sprint car around there. So, you know, they sort of fell in nice little places so you could recoup and, you know, refresh yourself for another big run at it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they're pretty much falling in between laps like 11 and 13, I guess, when the tyre wear started to sort of become a factor. And then I think you got about 20, 25 lap run there. But, yeah, congratulations on 3rd, man. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out to?
Yeah, just all the Illusion guys again, just for, you know, being a good team. And like a good bunch of friends, and all the other drivers make it fun. Without everybody else rocking up, then we wouldn't have much to do. So, yeah, thanks to everyone. This one was a bit more yellows, but the track was a bit treacherous out there, so I can forgive everyone for that. And thanks to you guys for putting on the good show.
Too easy, man. Thank you. We'll catch you next week, I think, in the Cup Series at Las Vegas.
Sweet. All right, boys. Thank you. See ya.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that was Michael Scurlock, your 3rd place getter. I think that's just about all for tonight. So I think we saw a little bit of everything tonight, Daniel. The cautions, as expected, on this very slippery track, coming around about the point that we knew the tyres were going to start to go away. Obviously, a big field, a couple of incidents there, but also some very good and clean racing up the front.
Yeah, it definitely was. I was pretty impressed with the guys. And a lot of those incidents you really can't help. Just sort of the guys sort of running out of grip and some people running up the back of them. But yeah, there wasn't sort of too much malice in any of that, and a great finish. And yeah, it's exciting.
Certainly was. Okay, so we'll probably be able to leave it there. So that is the latest instalment of the 131 Rock Thunder series, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time with this series from Vegas. And I believe we've also got the Cup race from Vegas coming up next Thursday night as well. So nice full schedule full of stock car racing coming up for everyone. So tune in again then. And from myself, Danny G, and Carl Withy, who's there running the cameras for us tonight, a very good night, and we'll see you soon.